And on the bottom right, in the red. He's got to be one of the favorites of the region, and certainly a fan favorite, SpeCial.
And up here in the top left-hand side of the map, phenomenal streamer, phenomenal Protoss player from Apprentice Esports. He is DisK. I just want to say, I did a little snooping on SpeCial. He spent the hour-long break leading up into America's region, during, like between Europe and Americas, sitting in Up a Tree's chat asking him why he wasn't doing more lateral presses and asking and trading workout tips. So that is apparently how SpeCial prepares, is he talks up with all of his gym pros and sees what everyone's up to.
Wait. Fear Dragon, was that you snooping on what SpeCial was doing, or was that you wasting time in Up a Tree's chat while you waited an hour for the game to get started?
Well, I wanted to make sure that Up a Tree felt bad about starting a stream like 3 hours late today, but I happened to run into SpeCial there, so.
Okay. Well, anyways, regardless of what happens, SpeCial seems, in fine form right now. We don't see anything uncharacteristic. I guess the thing that is maybe uncharacteristic, but it seems to be more and more common, is the fact that we're getting this barracks double gas factory idea on what is the biggest map of the pool. I mean, Gressfawn is massive. It takes forever on the ground to move from the bottom right to the upper left, so that maybe makes life a little bit more complicated if you do want to go for that aggression. But Ravi, what's 3 seconds between friends?
I feel like there's an innuendo in that, and I'm trying to walk away from it. I'm gonna dodge that one, Bill. But I agree with the overall sentiment of this being a potentially big map and stuff. But yeah, I mean, we do have a Twilight Council coming out over here for DisK. So do you think this is gonna just be like a pretty typical Blink Stalker kind of opening that most Protoss players tend to favor these days? Because DisK really is, if there were a standard NA player, DisK in my mind would be it, because Neeb is kind of gone now.
Yeah, honestly, calling Neeb standard enough, sure, but he's got enough of a funky NA twist to him, whereas DisK is he's a standard European player and playing in a North American body is really how this one works out. It's the Reapers. They dive in, hey, get probe early on and full scout. I do think this is just going to be standard Blink, though. Let's see how much damage these Reapers get. It's going to be 3. Maybe he's going to get a Hellion into the main base. Okay, well, it eventually goes down, but still full scout. SpeCial being obnoxious. I think this is just going to be your standard Blink play. Like, this is DisK. Yeah. It's going to be 3 gate, maybe 4. But if you had to ask me before this series started how DisK was going to open up, yeah, he's going to get a couple, he's going to get Blink, he's going to get a couple gateways, he's going to put some pressure on, he's going to go into the mid game, and that's just who DisK is. 2 gate Blink, 3 gate Blink, something like that.
Yeah, and on the other side, we're going to get SpeCial, who's going to be not only going for the Widow Mines, but he's also adding on the Armory, so those Widow Mines will stay cloaked after they fire their shot. And 2 Widow Mines already been scouted out by the Adepts. That's actually a really, really nice scout, because it's not about necessarily making different units usually as the Protoss player here, but it's just about where you position your units can be a little bit more effective for dealing with the harassment and the Widow Mine drops. And also knowing, like, that shield battery ain't gonna do a whole lot of Jack Diddley squat against the medevac drop.
So here's my question: is the Robo will complete? So by the time the Widow Mines can shoot a second time, there will be an observer there. Oh, he shoots the rocks, but okay, Widow Mines is gonna go off anyways, no big deal. Here's my second question: now that this is gonna be 4 gate Blink, as we can see, is another Widow Mine. This one might actually get targeted down. No, not enough damage. How do you feel about this? Because this is 4 gate Blink against an Armory Widow Mine open. This is something that, yeah, you can go for it. But you do commit a lot to make this happen early on. You're not going to have nearly as much on the ground. How do you feel about SpeCial's opener?
Well, it's important to note that SpeCial's seen that it's 4 gate Blink, and he's actually even double confirmed with the Reaper popping back in, like the gas geyser timings and all that stuff. So I think he should have the opportunity to get up some defenses and everything, but it is definitely going to be something that will be a potentially pretty tight defense. The Adepts actually, even picking off like an extra Marine or 2 is kind of nice for DisK, as he is able to just soften up some of the defenses and stuff. But oh man, the medevac's moving back in and delaying these Stalkers from doing anything. I mean, I guess you're still gonna have to wait for the Warp Prism anyways, but every second that Special buys is going to be another tank or something that comes out, and Special is already kind of getting up some extra defenses.
Yeah, on the flip side, right, that is a dead medevac. That is a dead Widowmine. DisK is not going to have to be spending APM watching out for a drop across the map because realistically, as that Widowmine, it looks like it got another shot off, killed Stalker maybe. You don't... Special cannot afford another Widowmine drop and the defense. You know, he has to kind of deal with what he can. Yeah. So the Reaper, though, continues to be annoying, and Special is he's gonna get another probe. Okay, no, he's not. But now at this point, DisK is not focusing on this anymore. He's focusing on what damage he can find. So Stalkers, is he gonna blink in the main, or is he gonna elevator? That's kind of the next question here. So blinks in, Raven goes down immediately, and now here goes the detection. It's dead here as well. But the problem is these adepts that he brought in to soak the tank shot, they're not soaking it very well at all. Even still, the tank will finally go down, but this feels a little bit clumsy coming in from DisK. It looks, though, like it still might be enough. There's just not a lot of Marines here.
Yeah, I think that Special, like you were saying before, he wasn't going to have a lot of firepower, so he really needed to be able to push this back sooner. Being able to do an additional warp in was really, really rough there, I think, for Special to have to deal with. So he ended up taking worse trades, and now you start to see how Special is going to be a little bit spread thin. There is a siege tank on the low ground over here at the natural, but those Stalkers can attack the bunker from out of range of it. Managed to pick that off. The Reaper still being annoying. This is just taking additional time away from DisK. DisK would normally be microing his Stalkers around and stuff, but he has to spend extra actions to go clean up that Reaper, and that's annoying. I do feel like for the most part, DisK's attack did not do the damage it needed to. He kind of fell flat on this.
No, he really did. That Reaper had seven kills. Like, they should never be getting that much at all. So not only did DisK not get enough, and I did like the idea of 4-gate blink against an armory play. Your opponent is not going to have nearly as many tanks. Stim is delayed. These timings that you might normally use to defend against it just aren't really there, but he didn't get enough. You're right. He kind of moved in. He blinked in a bit of an awkward manner, so tanks were getting shots off really early. And we saw the idea, right? You put in a couple of adepts in the warp prism, you have them shade forward, you go into tank range, they soak the tank shots, that's fine. They didn't at all. Like, they did not accomplish that whatsoever, so the tanks just got big, meaty, juicy shots on the Stalkers, which are exactly what you're looking for here as he blinks backward and still loses another Stalker. And we were asking ourselves, what version of DisK were we going to get as we move into this series? This is going to be A-tier, S-tier DisK that he can sometimes turn on and look really good in a DreamHack Masters group stage, or is it kind of B, C-tier DisK? Is it middle of the pack DisK? And unfortunately, in this game at least, it really does feel like middle of the pack DisK. I mean, look at it. 62 army supply to 17. He has gotten no damage, and I don't know how he's supposed to hold on to this anymore.
Yeah, Special smacked down the 4-gate blink Stalker aggression really, really hard. Did a great job with the kind of unit positioning and stuff. Even some of the stuff that I thought maybe was going to be a little bit dicey, Special was still able to turn around and make it to a solid advantage. So here we are. Even as we do have like the DT run by harassment, you already see there's a missile turret done at the natural. So damage is more or less minimized, and Special is not being halted at all on his attack. This was also the big DT play to buy time. Yeah, Charge is going to be finished up, so that I guess is nice, but did he actually buy enough time to deal with this army? That I'm not so sure about.
Charge is nice, yeah, as you say, and look, the DTs, they run in again. They get 8 workers, but you're right. Who cares if the army kills DisK? The question, though, is how many scans do we have as the Zealots? They're looking to run forward. Shield Battery Overcharge is popped. There is 1 scan, but, I mean, I'm not going to click on it in the moment, but there is a limited number here. Like, the detection is non-infinite, so if DisK can just bait enough of these out, and DTs defensively can do something. There are, well, actually, no, there are 2 tanks, but 5 tanks doing damage here as the fight happens is just so much damage that DisK has to deal with.
I mean, the biggest advantage that DisK has going for him is that Special is on a timer right now, because you're right, the DTs did do a lot of damage on the other side, and there are a limited number of these scans, so another scan pops on out. Special has to actually get the damage on, and he finally is on top of that 3rd base. It did take him a while to get there. DisK was holding him off and holding the line even as he was bleeding out some units, but this is the damage that Special needed, and this is the damage Special can be feeling happy about. Even if he ends up losing these siege tanks and stuff now, the bioforces are large enough that DisK is going to have trouble doing a whole lot, and he knows it. Special takes the first game.
Yep, DisK spins out a little bit, unfortunately, and that is, of course, the game 1 victory going towards the player that I think we expected. Special is, it's kind of funny, right? Because I looked at Americas and I'm like, okay, you know, Trigger should probably get top 3 now that Neeb is retired. And then you realize that, wait a minute, we add in Latin America, we add in Cham, we add in Kelazur, and we add in SpeCial. And it's like, instead of being a region diminished because we've lost Neeb, and I mean, Neeb, I think very much, Neeb probably could have made the finals of DreamHack Valencia last year. He was looking in that kind of form before he kind of gave a game away in Game 5 against Creator. Instead of a region being diminished, it's a region that honestly I think is going to be harder for players like Trigger to make a deep run, or DisK to make a deep run, because we've added in Cham and SpeCial and Kelazur, which are absolutely no slouches, especially in region.
No, 100%. I really do think that America's is more. It's more stacked than just the like North American version that existed before. And I think the matches are actually like overall is going to be a lot more higher level players. And I think you're going to start to see that just when you start combining SpeCial, Scarlet, Trigger, Kelazur, Estrella, like, yeah, and then even just a couple of other players who just sometimes have like big pop off seasons, like a Cham or like a DisK, or even like sometimes like a Future or something. Like I think we will be seeing a very, very competitive region.
Yeah, well, now the question is whether DisK can compete in this series, much less the region. So SpeCial's up 1. We're getting in game 2. And in the upper right, in the red, he's up 1 game for Psystorm, and honestly, he made it look kind of easy. It's SpeCial.
And here in the bottom left, we have our blue Protoss player from Apprentice. He is DisK. And I think too early to sleep on him too much. So, you know, I think a DisK is definitely still capable of doing a bit more than he was able to do in that last game. The 4-gate Blink Stalker aggression, you were kind of hinting at this. It is a more committed form of aggression. There are lighter forms like Blink Stalker openings and things like that where you just look to maybe do some solid defense, maybe put on a little bit of pressure or something. But the 4-gate, you are looking to get some damage done, and DisK just really did not. And it, you know, that was accompanied by a Reaper getting way more damage than it should have. But I think that overall DisK's opening and stuff, like his defense against the Widowmine drops and all that stuff, actually went decently. I think if he can have a strong start again and just have a second shot at it, I do believe in his capabilities to turn things around and not be quite as lopsided as that first game.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And it's one of those things where you get the Adepts in front of the Stalkers. Suddenly, the Stalkers tank 1, 2, 3 less tank shots, something like that, and then the tank goes down, and then it is unstimmed bio against 12, 15 Blink Stalkers, and life becomes very complicated for the Terran. And instead of DisK not kind of spinning his wheels there and not really getting much done, he is able to get economic damage and really start to push in, and then SpeCial can't hit with that massive timing that meant that he didn't care about the damage he took on the other side. At that point, no amount of economic damage really was going to bring DisK back into that game. He had to kill the army, and that was just something he couldn't do.
Yeah. So we'll see where things go, as we already do have kind of interesting opening again from SpeCial. We've been seeing more of this in TVP, like you were talking about earlier today. Just going into that factory a little bit faster. Barracks kind of like low ground proxied, hidden, forcing DisK to make an extra zealot and stuff. So just cute little mind games and everything I think SpeCial does enjoy doing. SpeCial, honestly, a player that I think is pretty good with preparation time. And I actually think in a lot of ways this format is kind of nice for SpeCial because you don't play games quite as often. Like the games, there's a little bit more time between each play day for you. So I think he really does just get to look at one opponent and have like a couple of days to be like, yep, this is how I'm going to plan out the entire best of 3 and just really come up with a solid plan for it.
Yeah, and I'm torn on SpeCial, right? Because on the one hand, he underperformed massively, kind of really the entirety of last year. He's kind of been middling, kind of from what we expect out of him. But then he had that great run at Katowice where I think realistically, I mean, he had some real bad bracket luck, real bad group stage luck, where he should have gotten out. In fact, I think he was the only player that had a winning series score that did not get out of his group of Katowice. So he had that. He looked really good. I mean, he was taking games. He killed Solar in series. So, you know, on the one hand, we have the SpeCial that hasn't done much, has kind of underperformed, has not done for the first time ever. Didn't win his region when DreamHack Latin America was a thing. And then we have this newer SpeCial. And I don't know where I expect him to be. Certainly, he's playing like that newer, better, or like the return to form SpeCial that we saw in Katowice.
No, absolutely. I think that's a common sentiment right now for him. So it's great to see SpeCial kind of like doing well so far, because I think this, in my mind, was going to be an important season to see how SpeCial's form is, to get like a wider range over the course of like a few weeks and stuff to see how he's kind of doing. And so far, he's been living up to it. But we'll see. We do have Robo and Twilight Council going to be finishing up soon. We're just at 2 warp gates right now, so DisK is not going for any kind of big committed 4-gate blink pressure or anything, but he's definitely going to need to make sure he has enough stalkers alive and in the right position in order to deal with any kind of like little move outs over here, including little Liberator harassment as well, that he is super unprepared for.
Yeah, that's 4 dead workers. It just feels like compounding issues, right? DisK did not lose game 1 because he took a big Widowmine shot, or did not lose game 1 because he made one big mistake. Although one could argue seven probes going down to a Reaper is one of those big mistakes, but it was a bunch of small things that led up into that massive lead we saw SpeCial hit with at the end of the game. And it kind of feels like more of the same. Although, hey, SpeCial, that's why you seize your Liberator in dead airspace, by the way, so you don't kind of accidentally overmove it, something like that. But even still, that Liberator is not dead. Actually, no, maybe it did die.
Yeah, I think it did go a little bit too far back in, so ended up being picked off there. But, well, I think 4 damage, or 4 workers worth of damage, a handful of probes being pulled off the line and stuff, a little bit of like pulling all the stalkers back home so you know that you're safe back on your side of the map. I think SpeCial could still feel pretty decent about how the Liberator harassment went. And behind this, he has his big setup with the additional barracks being added on. He's going to have like the Raven as well. That could be really nice for the interference matrix on, say, the Colossus. So I think SpeCial's getting set up for his kind of a 2-base pressure play and stuff that we oftentimes see Terran players like doing here. And it'll be kind of interesting to see where DisK is going to meet that army in the map.
Yeah, the ideal is to meet it, as you said, in the middle of the map, and then force out a couple interference matrices, pull back, and do something there. But I don't know that he's necessarily going to have the APM for it, because, I mean, look at this. There's more pressure in. SpeCial's just buying so much time, and the probes have nowhere to run. The wall is nice against A drop, sure, fine, but they also, you know, they just have to run through the damage. So 7 more probes go down, add on to the 4 of earlier, and it's a big scout. You know that this is a low gateway count because you saw the Colossus, you saw the Immortal, you see everything that's happening, and you get damage done on top of it. DisK has some stalkers across the map. They don't help against any of this.
Yeah, I guess the one small blessing, and it's not really much of a blessing given that SpeCial now has such a ridiculous economic lead on his worker count and everything, and even his 3rd base is not that much further behind DisK's. But at least DisK can buy some time until Stim is done, because I don't imagine SpeCial's going to be moving out before Stim is done. So if he has a little bit of time to come up with some kind of magic that deals with this army. And frankly, at this point, Behemoth, I almost feel like it's a disruptor. I know why it makes sense to make more Colossus in this situation, but I actually just feel like he needs a big disruptor hit to survive this game.
Yeah, even just mentally, I guess, because I mean, it feels like he's playing scared. Maybe not the better word. Actually, just playing sloppy because he's got the drop in the main that he's got to deal with, and he loses every stalker on the map. And the Marines are still here. They're gonna survive a little bit longer. SpeCial got everything he needed out of that drop. It got 7 workers, it got a full scout, and guess what? It killed every stalker on the map. At least that was defending against this push. That being said, it is only 3 tanks here, and there are 2 Colossus. The Raven is not with the army just yet, so... Actually, where is the Raven? Did we not have a Raven? I thought we did.
He definitely had a Raven. I think he ended up losing it to the Stalkers when they were on the other side of the map. They were kind of, you know, the Stalkers are at his front door, and I think poking and prodding and stuff, so...
All right, well... That does make this a little bit easier for DisK, right? It's only 3 tanks that his Colossus have to deal with, not 3 tanks and getting disabled, but this tank position's nasty, and as we talked about, the shield battery overcharge change means that 3 tanks punch through an overcharge. So whenever DisK tries to take a fight, he has to take the fight, and he has to carry it. And for now, Cyclone gets a good lock on that shield battery overcharge. It's dead. Doesn't even matter anymore. One less defensive tool.
Yep, gonna be a tough situation from here, and it's already feeling like the writing is on the wall for this, but DisK is going to have a little bit of opportunity to make some kind of miracle engagement happen. What tools does he have at his disposal? Well, he has Charge, Blink, and Colossus. So, I mean, maybe some Zealots or something on the left-hand or right-hand side come in for a flank, but it doesn't even matter, because if he did that, these Marauders will continue to get that damage done, and at the same time, You see how much of the army SpeCial still has protecting those siege tanks. SpeCial is not jumping the gun on any of this. He's being very diligent, very patient about it, finds an opportunity, jumps in, seizes the Colossus, is forcing disengage on in, and there is simply way too much bio here.
I mean, these Vikings are going to end the game by themselves. There are 2 Stalkers for anti-air. Nothing keeps these Colossus alive, and the Colossus were the only thing against these Marines that were really doing much of anything. So the two Vikings, they are solving this game for SpeCial in a way that DisK really is not happy about. So now the 3rd base is dead. DisK has another one on the way, but it is very, very slow. And we can look at, when we look at Terran pushes right this, you're like, okay, 15, 10, 15 army supply, maybe 20. Okay, that's holdable. You get good charge flanks, it works out. Not 40, not 50, not the type of setup here that SpeCial has, up and upgrade. It's just, DisK again, he takes a little bit too much damage out of drops. He loses Stalkers in the middle of the map that he really shouldn't. And now it's going to be, I don't even know that a big disruptor shot changes things, honestly.
Yeah, I think this is a very, very tough spot now for DisK. It feels like it's already kind of slipped a lot out of his fingertips. Even now getting supply blocked at 100. He's sitting down 65 supply and you're getting supply blocked because you've already lost so many of your pylons and your Nexus. And here we go. There it is. There it is. SpeCial takes the 2-0 and frankly looks unbeatable.